The show Batman Beyond was set in the same universe as the other classic DC animation shows, known as the Timverse, but it was separate in the sense that it was 50 years into the future, in-universe. Though this meant that the classic Batman villains could feature, and we could learn what their ultimate fate in this universe was. And we did. So we're going to have a look at what these ultimate fates were. Bane.
Venom, a highly addictive steroidal compound. Only one man has the formula, Bane.
Now, Bane is a great cautionary tale for the children of this world. The basic premise of his abilities is that he uses the drug Venom to gain super strength. And he is amazing in this form, as he gets incredible durability and strength. Basically, he gets superpowers when he takes this magical venom. But power like this doesn't come for free. Venom is a steroid, and drug abuse rots your body from the inside out. Organs fail, teeth fall out, and you lose the ability to control your bowels. And this is especially true of steroid abuse. Steroids boost your muscles and strength in the short run, but in the long run they poison every part of you, and cut your lifespan in half. If you don't believe me, just Google some wrestlers, because it's claimed a lot of their lives. And while it is true that even though steroids shorten a person's life, those lives are undeniably, blindingly brilliant. And isn't that brilliance worth the cost? Of course it bloody isn't. What's the point of success if you can't enjoy the glory after all? I mean, killing yourself to get there is just pointless. And this is something that Bane found out the hard way. After a lifetime of abusing Venom, his body is a husk of its former self. It is so rotten and worn out that Bane is only being kept alive by round-the-clock nursing care, medicine, and machines. And rather ironically, Venom itself is actually keeping his heart pumping, as his body is so dependent on it that he can't survive without it. Though in all honesty, at this point, he would probably be better off dead. Euthanasia is a legitimate form of medicine, and in the most severe of cases, the correct course, and I'm a strong believer in it. And as for Bane's Venom recipe, he had given this to his nurse, since Bane is so decrepit that he can't even make it for himself anymore.
And now you're cashing in by selling poison to kids?
That's right.
And this guy is basically selling it as a performance-enhancing drug to athletes, much like I said with the aforementioned wrestlers, which is how Batman finds out about all of this. Now, Batman does eventually stop this nurse, and then Bane is never mentioned again. But since Bane needs that nurse in order to stay alive, there is a good chance that he died shortly after this. But as I said, that is probably for the best. After all, if there was someone else who took over his care and kept him alive, it would just mean that Bane would remain as a worn-out piece of meat rotting in the corner. I mean, at this point, just pull the plug. And that is possibly the worst fate on this list. So seriously, kids, do not abuse steroids.
We have a real sports roundup for you folks. 3 Hamilton Hill High School athletes were arrested last night, charged with using slappers.
Talia and Ra's al Ghul. In one episode called Out of the Past, Talia al Ghul visits Bruce Wayne on his birthday to wish him a happy birthday. She starts off with a little flirtation, but then she leads into telling him that her father has passed away, and that she is now the head of their family. She's also using their wealth to undo all of the damage that her father has wrought on humanity. And she also offers the elderly Bruce Wayne the chance to be made young once more, which is a deal that no one can say no to. And so he takes a dip in the Lazarus pit and gets his youth back once more. He is strong and healthy, and then he decides, screw this, I want to be old and decrepit again. Yeah, old Batman, rotting away, unable to move, can't go out in the Batsuit. Yeah, that's what I really want. Personally, I disagree with that decision, but it is up to him. And in fairness, he is scared of becoming like Ra's al Ghul was.
I've used the Lazarus pit too many times. I've lived 600 years. My mind and body cannot take much more. Each time I enter the pit, I am frightened of what will come out.
The Lazarus pit has corrupted your mind.
And Batman is kind of scared of ending up like him. But personally, I've always thought that was a bit dumb. I mean, just because Ra's became a mass-murdering psycho doesn't necessarily mean that Batman would. But anyway, his choice. And the staff are actually against him leaving, and so he and Terry team up to smash their way out of the place. Which doesn't work, unfortunately. And Bruce Wayne is captured, and Terry is thrown to the alligators to be eaten alive. Now, Terry of course survives this, and meanwhile, it's revealed to Bruce that Ra's al Ghul is very much alive, and in Talia al Ghul's body. And it's revealed that a few years ago, Ra's couldn't be revived by the Lazarus pits anymore. and in order to survive, he needed to put his mind in someone else's body. But the mind-switching machine he had only worked on a close genetic relative, and that made Talia the only choice. And so she made the ultimate sacrifice to keep him alive. Though, to be completely honest, I'm not entirely convinced that she did this of her own free will.
What kind of a man sacrifices his own daughter?
But fortunately, there's been upgrades to the technology, which is why Ra's went to Bruce Wayne now, as the machine has been improved and he can now switch bodies with anyone he wants. So Ra's has decided to take Bruce Wayne, as Ra's always considered him to be the perfect physical specimen. Or at least that's the reason he gives. I mean, in reality, I imagine it's because Bruce Wayne beat Ra's al Ghul so much back in the day, and now Ra's wants to get the final victory. It's a bit petty, I know, but he is an egotistical, semi-immortal megalomaniac cult leader, so you can't really expect him to be that mentally stable.
I must have more!
Father, your body!
Don't stop! I want every ounce, every fibre of his strength.
But fortunately, Terry arrives in time to save Bruce. They all fight, and the compound ends up exploding. Now, Ra's could have actually escaped the blast with them, but he was too worried about saving his mind-switching device, and is seemingly caught in the blast. Though, as we all know, Ra's al Ghul is very much a cockroach, so if anyone could survive this, it would be him. But since this show has ended, and there seems to be no more future Timverse beyond the stories of Batman Beyond, and Ra's al Ghul is never mentioned again, well, it's fairly safe to say that he is dead and gone, having died in this explosion. And the moral here is, you've got to learn to let go of things. Mr. Freeze. Now, as I have said on a couple of occasions, this is my favourite episode of the Batman Beyond show. And if you haven't watched it before, you must, because it is simply a masterpiece. Seriously, I love this episode so much. Now, it all starts with Derek Powers, whose body was mutated from a bioweapon that he was illegally selling that Batman stopped him from transporting and in turn exposed him to. That may have sounded a little convoluted, but basically, he was a bad guy, he was selling bioweapons, and he got exposed to one. But at the same time, he's a rich bitch, so it was only a bit of a problem. He used his money to get some great doctors to irradiate him with radiation and cure the illness. The only downside was it caused the side effect of making him a walking nuclear meltdown. Now again, he is rich, so again, this isn't that big a problem. He uses some special fake skin to cover up the radiation and gets on with his life. But unfortunately down the road, it's not working too well. The radiation he's producing is increasing and is eating through the skin.
Now I suggest you leave. It's not healthy to be around me when I'm shedding.
So he needs a new solution. And that is when a scientist enters and recommends that they take Mr. Freeze's head out of cold storage, which for some reason they have, and then they clone him. They remove his damaged tissue to create a healthy clone, and then put Freeze's mind into this new body. Now the idea, of course, is that they will use him as a test subject for the process, so they can then do the same with Derek Powers. Which is also why Mr. Freeze agrees to it, because as I said, he's been in cold storage for the past 50 years as just a head. The cryochemicals that turned him into Mr. Freeze have made it so he cannot die, even though he is literally just a head.
The accident that created me finally took its toll. By the time these doctors stopped my deterioration, all that was left undamaged was this.
So he pretty much jumps at the chance because, well, what else is he going to do? And so the process goes ahead, and it goes great. Freeze has a new body and a new lease on life. He's able to get around without his suit, and he's no longer ill. He is absolutely loving it, so much so that he dedicates his vast fortune into making a charity to help the victims of his evil actions back when he was a supervillain. It's amazing how getting healthy again can really make some people go, Christ, what was I doing when I was ill? And this is the end of his story. It's a happy ending for someone with a truly traumatic past. And it's great to see that people can actually get through the darkness of their lives and make something good out of it, you know? Yeah, I'm joking, I know. Obviously it didn't go that way. It'd be nice, but life is not that kind. And as such, Mr. Freeze's body relapses and degrades to its original cellular damage. And once again, he can no longer survive outside of an ice-cold environment. And he goes back to the doctors for help, of course, but unfortunately Powers doesn't really care about him. He's just a guinea pig at the end of the day. So he says, let's kill him, biopsy his body, and see what went wrong. Unfortunately, this attempt on his life doesn't work, and Mr. Freeze says, there's only one logical thing I can do in this situation. I'm going to go full-on supervillain and murder everyone. And so he gets his suit out of cold storage and goes on a murder spree of vengeance. And the crescendo of this plan is to blow up one of Derek Powers' compounds, killing a lot of innocent people. And quite a lot of guilty people as well, to be fair, himself included. Now, Batman tries to stop him and to save him, wants to convince him to, don't do this, you've got so much ahead of you. I mean, you're basically immortal. Yes, we can't cure you now, but one day, and in fairness, they will one day be able to cure him. Technology has come a long way in this time. But unfortunately, Freeze is adamant, and he makes an ice wall that Batman can't get past. And so Freeze's story ends with him taking his own life. His whole life has been nothing but a story of misery and loss, and honestly, it's amazing he didn't end things sooner. I mean, like we said, he was literally just ahead in the freezer. In fact, that was probably the only thing that stopped him. He wasn't physically able to take his own life. And it also makes perfect sense that he would do it now. There is nothing more dangerous to the depressed than hope. Or rather, dangling hope like a carrot in front of you, only to have it snatched away. I mean, that hurts more than anything you can imagine. I mean, I'm speaking as someone with a traumatic past who also suffers with depression, so I completely understand what's happening here, and I completely understand why Freeze did this. And I personally think it's a really beautiful story, and a story that rings true on all notes. These writers and producers really understood their characters perfectly. And of course, that is the last that we see of Mr. Freeze in this universe.
You gotta get out of here, Freeze. The whole place is gonna go.
Believe me, you're the only one who cares.
Andrea Belmont. Now, Andrea was one of the great loves of Bruce Wayne's life, so much so that he was actually planning on giving up on being a vigilante in order to be with her.
You sure about this?
Sure, I'm sure. What the heck am I doing, Alfred? This is part of the plan. I must be going nuts.
But unfortunately, she left him and broke his heart, and then he became the Dark Knight that we all know. And then she later became a serial killer who returned to Gotham to take out members of the mob who had killed her father. And this all ended with her taking out the Joker. And then she disappears on a ship, and that was that. Or so we all thought. In an epilogue to the end of the Batman Beyond show, there was an episode of Justice League that filled in some of the blanks of the future Batman Beyond. Now, you may wonder why this was done in Justice League Unlimited, and the answer's quite simple. Batman Beyond got cancelled before they could have this, so they decided to wrap it all up in Justice League Unlimited. Also, at the time, they thought Justice League Unlimited was also going to get cancelled, but then they did another season after this. It kind of disturbs it a little, but not really. And it's a great episode to just stumble across. If you didn't know about it or haven't seen it, I suggest you go, because it does tie in a lot of things, and it is a very good episode. And perhaps most notably, we discover that Terry is actually Bruce Wayne's biological child. Now, it's a bit sci-fi this bit, but basically Terry's dad got a flu shot, but the flu shot actually contained nanites that went into his, bits, and changed his reproductive genetic material into an exact match of Bruce Wayne's. So genetically speaking, he is Bruce Wayne's child. That being said, Terry's mum and Terry's dad did still do the deed to make him. So it's kind of like having two dads, I guess. Now, the reason this was done was because Amanda Waller wanted to make a new Batman, because Bruce Wayne was getting old, basically. But she says, that's not enough. Genetically being the same? Yeah, not quite enough. What we need to do, right, yeah? We need to kill his parents. And the worst part is, she's actually kind of onto something there. I mean, this is pretty much what happens to all DC heroes' parents. Seriously, the Justice League might as well be called the Dead Parents Club. Go through them all and you'll be like, dead, 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 evil. Dead, 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 evil. Even Batman's dad died, but then he came back and, he's evil again. So it's pretty much how it goes if you want to be a hero. Now, you're probably wondering what this has got to do with Andrea, and basically, Amanda sends her to kill the parents. But she gets there, she looks at them being a happy family, and she's like, bloody hell, what are we doing? Why am I killing these parents? This is ridiculous. I am questioning my entire life. I'm an assassin? Wow, it's amazing. I've killed so many people, but at this moment, I'm not really for it. Okay, I am a little annoyed by this moment because it doesn't quite make sense. She's an assassin. She's killed loads of people. What's so special about this one? Well, probably the fact that it's, Bruce Wayne's son and they had an affair and all that. But anyway, long story short, she backs out at the last minute and then she goes to Amanda and says, this is wrong, and convinces her not to do it. And that's why Terry's parents were able to live. Well, his dad did eventually die, but that's inevitable. But this is all we know of Andrea. She's working for Amanda Waller, possibly as an assassin, and maybe even in the Suicide Squad. But that seems a little bit unlikely. After all, if you refuse an order in the Suicide Squad, you get your head blown off. That being said, it is very possible that she went to prison for all those murders and is now working for her. But all we know for sure is that they're here together at this point, and that is the last that we ever see of her. The Joker. Now, the Joker's fate is infamous at this point, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on this one. Basically, he kidnapped Tim Drake and he mind-washed him into being a mini Joker. who was meant to kill Batman. But Tim was able to break through the programming and he killed the Joker instead. And this was the Joker's final outing in the Timverse. It's actually a great death, a great scene, and a great film. So if you haven't seen it, do. If you have seen it, go watch it again. Let's get some nostalgia on. And although the Joker is dead and gone, buried and everything, he did leave a ticking time bomb in Tim Drake that created a new Joker inside of him. It was basically a microchip that rewrote his DNA to turn him into the Joker. But this one was actually killed by the new Batman, or rather the microchip containing the information that was controlling Tim Drake was destroyed. The Joker had died 50 years before this after all, and it was just a microchip that was left. Which means this is the final outing of the Joker, and that Tim Drake was free of him once more, as was Gotham City. Although the legacy of the Joker does kind of live on in the Joker gang. But it's not really about him, it's just basically a bunch of young people in a gang, and they've put the Joker motif on it because, you know, he was famous and they want to cash in on that. Kinda silly, I know, but they're just a bunch of angry kids, so what are you going to do? Harley Quinn. Now, after the death of the Joker, Harley Quinn just disappeared. She was never seen by anyone again, completely hung up the supervillain life and presumably just became a normal civilian. And this is backed up by the fact that at the end of the film, a Nana Harley features. She's bailing out her grandkids out of prison. They're in the Joker gang and they're the Dee twins. Now, it's a short scene, but we basically learn that after Harley Quinn retired from being a villain, she had one or more children, very possibly the Joker's children. And they in turn had these two girls who are now Joker gang members, very much following in their Nana's footsteps. Not that I think they know that she was Harley Quinn. It just seems to be that wearing clown makeup and being a criminal is in their DNA. And those are the final fates of the villains in Batman's Rogues Gallery. Or at least all the ones that we know so far. They may make future films that feature in this universe, I hope they do because I quite enjoy those, and then we'd actually learn out more. Or, even better yet, bring back the show, or adapt the universe into a film. There was talk of doing a Spider-Verse style Batman Beyond film, which sounds amazing, and I think we'd all be up for that, but it seemed to be cancelled before it even got anywhere. But who knows, maybe one day they will bring that back, because it sounds like a great idea. Now, if there's any villains you can think of that I've missed, I don't think there is, but if there is, let us know in the comments, because, I like to know when I've made mistakes so I can improve in the future. And of course, let us know which one of these stories is your personal favourite, of course. Though, let's be honest, you've got to be leaning towards the Mr. Freeze one, surely. And I'd just like to quickly remind everyone that we have some merchandise available on our store, and to say thanks to all of you who have donated to the Needle Mouse Productions page on Patreon. And as always, thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe, share, like, and comment.